Hey, guys, gals, friends, family, welcome to the channel. This is General Patton's Bushcraft and Self-Reliance School. I want to welcome you and thank you. This is another episode. I'm super excited. This is about Alone Season 8, episode number 7 now, titled Surrounded. And I'm going to read you the opening quote of the show. Let's get right into the show now. In nature, there are neither rewards nor punishments. There are consequences. Robert Greene Ingersoll made that quote. All right, the show opens up, day 26. 5 people remain now, and the show goes right to Biko. And Biko is eating some kind of soup. Said didn't taste very good. We see him go ahead and make a door for his shelter. He gets some spruce boughs, lines a log framed door, puts some spruce boughs in there, and he kind of calls it a drawbridge. Kind of was kind of funny. Show goes on, moves on to Rose now. We see her set some snares. Then back to the shelter for some hot water in that bottle she found. And she found that on day 26 now. And we see her putting hot water in that bottle, and she mixes in some rose hips loaded with vitamin C and makes that nice tea. So good on Rose. Also, she says she's having, and she shows us that she's having a hard time fishing, just like everybody else. Rose is having a hard time fishing. She goes ahead, sets some snares, and oh man, that's right. She finds that huge bear trap. And the show tells us that back in the 1600s, they used to set those big, huge traps back there. I hope she gets to take that thing home. That thing is sweet. Okay, day 27 now. Show goes back to Biko. Biko starts bringing rocks up from the beach. It's starting to get cold. He wants to build that fireplace. He tells us that he had not too long ago, he had a surgery on that ankle. We see him slip on the beach on some clay. So hey, his ankle was kind of sore, but good on Biko. At least he found that clay, and he makes a real nice fireplace. So good on Biko. All right, still day 27 now, and the show moves on to Coulter. And we see Coulter collecting lots of mushrooms, and 2 different kinds of mushrooms, the bolete mushrooms and those other, I forget the name of the other mushrooms. But what was really significant and cool about Coulter is he cuts these things up and strings them up on a snare wire. He's got strings and strings and strings inside his shelter, and he's smoking and drying those mushrooms. So good on Coulter. That's a sweet idea, very impressive. All right, day 28 now, and the show moves to Rose. She wakes and she tells us she had a rough night. Tells us she misses her family, misses her boys. She goes down to the beach and sees bear tracks. So she starts following it, and then she sees this grizzly. Oh my goodness, this grizzly stalking Rose. She hits the bear banger and the horn twice. Yikes, Rose has a bit of a breakdown, a little bit of a mental breakdown, but Rose pulls it together. She almost taps, but she pulls it together. So good on Rose. Okay, I'm just giving you guys quick, down and dirty, just one camera angle today. It's exciting. This is an exciting show. This is number 7, called Surrounded. Now we're on day 28 now. They go back, the show goes to Clay. We finally see Clay, and we see him making a decoy hat. Super cool, super impressive. He makes a decoy hat. He skins the the head of that buck that he shot. Okay, he takes the skin off the head, packs it full of moss, and he makes this real nice decoy hat, hangs it on the wall in his shelter. In the show, we see Clay take the brains out of the skull of that buck, mixes it up, cooks it up, makes it into a paste, and we see him tan the hide, that buckskin hide. Super impressive, good on Clay. Okay, day 30 now, and the show moves on to Colter. He works on insulating the shelter because he wakes up to like 4 to 6 inches of snow. So he spends the day fortifying and insulating the roof of his shelter with more spruce boughs. Okay. Then the show goes on to Teresa. She talks about struggling with fishing, just like everybody else, having a hard time with that fishing. But she collects about a half a can of berries. She forages for the day, and she shows us at the end of the day in that pit house pretty good day's work of fruits and vegetables. So good on Teresa. All right, show bounces back to Colter now, and he decides to go boating. He checks his fish trap that he put out there the day before. Nothing in the trap, but he decides to go fishing, and good on Colter. He catches 2 small rainbow trout. So good on Colter. We see him cook those bad boys up and eat those. So good on him. Okay, the show is on day 31 now. Goes back to Clay. Clay hears something big outside his shelter in the middle of the night. Okay, gets up. Big balls on Clay. Goes out there. Can't see anything, but he hears something out in the woods. He can't see anything. It's super dark. Next morning, he finds fresh bear tracks all through his camp. Last night he sees big, he shows us the prints, and he tells us why they're black bear paw prints now. Okay, but lucky for Clay, he gets blessed. The bear doesn't find a smoker that night. So Clay catches a break. He tells us at the end of that, he says, we ain't seen the last of Boo Boo. That was pretty funny. All right, day 31 now still. Show bounces back to Rose. Rose wakes, goes out, checks her snares. And yes, Rose gets a rabbit. We see her skin clean, cook, and eat that bad boy. So good on Rose. She's happy again. She's flying high. Day 31 now. Show bounces back to Clay. And we see Clay. He's worried about that black bear finding a smoker. We see him hook up that alarm system. Some good old redneck ingenuity. He hooks up that snare wire to that bear horn. Okay. I mean, good ingenuity on Clay. Very impressive. He sets this alarm system that's triggered right to his that alarm can of alarm spray. That was badass to the bone. So good on Clay. Genius. All right, day 32, 5 people remain, and Clay talks about rationing his deer meat that night because he really wants to win. He says he desperately needs to supplement that deer that he has dried out with some fish. So he tries to fish on day 31, and just like everybody else, no fish. All right, day 32 now, and the show bounces over to Teresa. Wow, this was scary. Teresa makes that raft, okay, and she's trying to make this passive fishing system. She wants 2 shore anchors and 1/3 anchor way out 300 feet out into the lake. So she strips down to her underwear and takes all this paracord and rock, big rock with the loop out 300, swims out in the frigid cold. She plans on being out there 15 minutes. Diego, come here. Diego, come on. She thinks she's gonna be out. She ends up her life jacket deploys. Diego, we couldn't believe that, huh? Remember that, Diego? Her life jacket deploys, gets tangled up. Ugh. Oh my goodness, gets tangled up in the paracord, gets wrapped around her ankle. She has to take off one of her shoes. Make a long story short, she ends up staying out there 35 minutes. Good on Teresa, okay? The show ends. She had a fire going up on shore and everything before she went out, so good on Teresa. But oh my goodness, she could have froze to death. And that's where episode 7, titled Surrounded, finishes. I want to thank you guys for stopping by the channel. Please subscribe, share the channel, talk to your friends to subscribe, tell them to like, leave a comment. It's free.